Welcome back, Nerd Squad. My name is Roya Destroya, and this is Top 10 Nerd. Lord Voldemort, a man of many names that aren't actually names but ways to avoid his name, is unarguably the incarnation of evil, and the biggest villain Harry Potter has had to deal with, despite the fact that Umbridge was literally the worst. Since his debut in 1997, he has been striking so much fear into muggles and purebloods and everything in between that even the most powerful wizard quakes at the mention of his name. So let's take a look at the top 10 you-know-who's surprising facts. In the number 10 spot, we kick off with his name. I know we're not supposed to say it, and I really am trying my best here, but for the sake of this fact, we need to get the pronunciation of his name clear. Author J.K. Rowling waited until 2015, that's almost 20 years after the first novel, to let us all know that we've been saying the Dark Lord's name incorrectly. The true pronunciation drops the T at the end of the name in true French fashion for the pronunciation of Voldemort. Of course, Voldemort was said all throughout the films, so the characters who were afraid of saying his name really had nothing to worry about. Turns out that wasn't even really his name.
Voldemort.
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 Voldemort. Voldemort.
Voldemort.
Voldemort. Voldemort.
Voldemort.
Lord Voldemort.
Coming in at number 9, we have his appearance in the films. Because the majority of the cast in the Harry Potter movies were children, filming times were short due to restrictions of the law in regards to children's working hours. So rather than the planned 6 hours of makeup to transform Ralph Fiennes into the Dark Lord, the makeup team only had 2, which is not a lot to create this out of this. So they had to get creative. First off, the signature veins on you-know-who's head weren't airbrushed on every time. They were made digitally and transferred via temporary tattoo. They applied gelatin forehead instead of trying to cover the brows up, and most famously, they did not actually chop Ralph's nose off. The easier and slightly more humane option was not makeup, but rather some skillful CGI. Next up at number 8 is his Olympic appearance. No, the Dark Lord is not actually an Olympic athlete, but he did make an appearance at the 2012 Games in London, England. A 100-foot inflatable Voldemort was used in the opening ceremony to celebrate English children's literature, alongside the likes of Captain Hook and Cruella de Vil. The stuff of nightmares here. Luckily, a horde of Mary Poppins just happened to be hanging around to save the audience. Harry Potter was unavailable at the time, probably too busy sneaking around the castle past curfew, as usual.
Mischief managed.
In the number 7 spot, we have his soft side. The man is essentially the definition of a psychopath, but he did have one small act of mercy that you may have missed, especially if you've only seen the movies. He is portrayed as a cold-blooded killer who quashes everyone in his path without remorse. But while he was making his way downtown walking fast to kill the Potter child, the Dark Lord was stopped by a young muggle who complimented him on his Halloween costume. Normally this would spell out, get it, spell out, danger for the kid. But you-know-who deems the act of murdering the child unnecessary. Turns out, apparently he's got a 1 kid kill quota per night. Fair enough. Coming in at number 6, Rowling is sorry she gave him a French name. The author was awarded, excuse my French literally here, the Légion d'honneur for her services to literature in 2009. Coincidentally, the same award her great-grandfather received in 1924 for his service in World War I. And while she accepted the award, she also issued a public apology for giving the Dark Lord a French name, stating she meant not to offend the French or evoke any anti-Frenchness in her novels. She just needed something exotic and powerful, so really the French should be flattered. Next up at number 5, we have his wand. You-know-who's wand is made of yew wood with a core of phoenix feathers from Fawkes. On the other hand, while Harry's wand shares the same core, hence binding them as brother wands, the wood is alternatively made from holly. The choice behind this, as stated by Rowling herself, is the sap from the yew tree is poisonous, while holly is traditionally believed in Europe to repel evil. Odd to know, seeing as Harry tended to attract a lot more evil than he repelled. Up next at number 4 are his eyes. In the books, he who must not be named is said to have red eyes with slits, similar to a snake's. However, though his eyes were red in the first film, in subsequent films the eye color was changed to blue. The reason behind this change was to promote better emotional expression, because we all know how emotionally expressive the Dark Lord is. As well, the blue eyes were thought to make him more human and therefore more real, and therefore more frightening. For the films, the slits were opted against, but if you peep real quick in Goblet of Fire, after he emerges from the cauldron, you'll catch a glimpse of the original pupils. In the number 3 spot, Tom Riddle is a real person. Harry Potter fans went wild when it was discovered that a man named Thomas Riddle was buried in Edinburgh, Greyfriars Kirkyard. The true Tom Riddle passed away in 1806 at the age of 72, while the fictional Tom met his death at 71. Struck by the reality of having a real Thomas Riddle in our midst, fans began to leave notes at the graveyard, and even incorporated it on the Potter Trail tour. Rest in peace, they said. It would be easy, they said. Coming in at number 2 is the inspiration for He Who Must Not Be Named. The idea of something being so powerful people are afraid to speak of it really appealed to JK, and this is the reason behind it. In the 1950s and 60s, there existed 2 London East Ender gangsters, Ronnie and Reggie Cray, known as the Cray twins, who apparently became so feared that people would balk at the mention of their name, therefore refusing to say Cray. The twins were behind robberies, assaults, and even murderers. That's cray cray, I know. And finally, in the number 1 spot, we have the Twitter shade. Parallels have recently been drawn between the Dark Lord and US President Donald Trump. A lot of this has to do with you-know-who's obsession with ridding the world of muggles and half-bloods, can we say self-loathing, and Trump's desire to rid America of Muslims. So when the name Trump Voldemort began floating around, Rowling tweeted out that Donald Trump was worse. Ouch, Avada Kedavra's fired. So those are the top 10 Lord Voldemort surprising facts. Let me know in the comments section down below who is your favorite Harry Potter character. My name is Roya Destroya, thanks for watching, don't forget to hit subscribe so you never miss another nerdy list.